They're basically chemicals that are in products, and once you consume them, they can stay in your body for years or even for decades.
But you can detox from these chemicals. So there's 3 ways that you can detox. I'm Stephanie Keith.
And I am Tara Manjekovic, and we are unapologetically outspoken. Hey, everybody, welcome to, what are we calling this now?
Make Shit Happen Monday.
Make Shit Happen Monday. Yes. So, Stephanie, before we started doing this podcast, I really didn't pay much attention to the harmful additives and chemicals that are in our food and our water supply. And it really wasn't until we started focusing more on these holistic or natural ways of doing things that I started to notice how much harmful shit we consume on a daily basis without even knowing it. And it's no wonder that some of our biggest issues here in the United States are related to health problems and disease and obesity. And I think we mentioned this briefly in other podcast episodes before, but we've never covered it in any depth. So today we're going to talk about forever chemicals. And in case you don't know what those are, they're referred to as PFAS, or per and polyfluoroalkyl substances.
Good job. I was like, I don't know how she's going to pronounce that, but you did a damn good job.
If I did it correctly.
I think
But
you did.
they're basically chemicals that are in products, and once you consume them, they can stay in your body for years or even for decades. And even though I don't really trust the FDA, even the FDA says that forever chemicals have been associated with serious side effects like high blood pressure, infertility, and some cancers. So I read a Washington Post article from June 6th, and it was talking about how forever chemicals are unique because they cause harm at low levels and they stick to our blood, and then they easily accumulate in our bodies. And Stephanie, I didn't know this, but here's one more reason not to eat fast food, because apparently the grease-resistant paper wrappers and the boxes that burgers and fries and even salads, when you get them from a fast food place, all the food that comes in these containers, the containers are coated with forever chemicals. And so this article stated, quote, last year, Consumer Reports tested more than 100 food packages and reported higher levels of forever chemicals in wraps, trays, and bags from Burger King, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, and Cava, among others.
Not Chick-fil-A. I love Chick-fil-A.
I know.
Oh, no.
And I love Cava, although there isn't one near me, but they had one in California and it was amazing.
What is Cava? I've never even
it's like a way better Chipotle.
Oh, I love Chipotle.
Oh yeah, Cava, it's like a Mediterranean Chipotle. And
Oh, that sounds good.
Good. Yeah, I definitely miss that. But according to Jamie DeWitt, who's a professor of pharmacology and toxicology at East Carolina University, the risk of exposure to these chemicals also depends on how long the food sits in the wrapper or the container. And then Keith Vorst, an associate professor and director of the Polymer and Food Protection Consortium at Iowa State University, said that when we heat food in paper linings or plastic containers, there's a risk that these forever chemicals coating the packaging can turn to vapor and then contaminate the food. So basically, don't put a wrapped McDonald's burger in the fridge and then heat it up in the wrapper the next day, or you're going to risk even more exposure. And this one surprised me because microwave popcorn was listed as another item to avoid because the kernels sit in the package of oil and other flavoring that's in there, and they just sit there for an extended period of time. So basically, when I thought I was being healthy by eating microwave popcorn because it's, a low calorie snack, I was basically just exposing myself to more forever chemicals. Isn't this wild?
We have microwave popcorn literally every night when we watch TV. And I was thinking the same thing. And I remember years ago, my uncle said something about microwave popcorn causing cancer or something. And I was like, dude, you're high. This is a great healthy snack. And I guess maybe he was right. And when you were talking, this just made me think. I came across, of course, on TikTok, it was a Taco Bell employee that was talking, showing a video of how they prepare the meat, because, everyone always questions the Taco Bell meat, which who knows what the fuck is in there. But what alarmed me with that video is what they do is they get the bags of meat in a plastic bag, and then they take the plastic bag frozen and they like put it in a fryer, and it like heats up the meat while it's in this plastic bag. So just imagine how many chemicals are all over that and how many restaurants do that and we don't even realize that they're doing that.
Well, wait, now I'm wondering if like I order these meals, they're all like healthy meals, but they're in plastic trays and then they have this plastic wrap over the top and you put them in the microwave for 5 minutes and then it cooks inside it self-contained. It's not even the type where you peel back the corner, like it cooks in the bubble and the plastic coating on the top like turns into this bubble over the food while it cooks. So now you have me concerned about that too.
I know this is like making me highly question all of those freezer meals that
Yeah.
I have eaten throughout my life. And like my daughter loves those. It's like a great after school snack. You just pop it in the microwave. When my husband's aunt was visiting a while back, she's like a total health nut. And she was appalled that I was putting things in the microwave and giving them to my kids. And she's like, I have never used a microwave. And she was like a nurse her whole life. And she's like, I never trusted it. I'm telling you, it is not good for you. And I thought I was like, okay, you're being a little ridiculous. But no, like, again, these people were onto something here. I thought they were crazy. And now I'm like questioning literally everything I've ever eaten in my life. So sorry, everyone, for freaking you out on this episode. But we have some good things coming of like things you can do. But something to know about these forever chemicals, or like if you hear people doing videos, they'll call them PFAS, like Tara said PFAS, but like if you hear people talking about PFAS, that's what they're talking about. They're endocrine disruptors or hormone disruptors. So like you think about how many people nowadays have thyroid issues, obviously cancer and diabetes, but even like mental illnesses. I wonder like how much of that could come from this, because just about everything stems from the endocrine system being disrupted. And they're finding that even cardiovascular disease comes from the endocrine system. This is like all kind of new that they're realizing. And what I didn't realize until I began researching for this episode is how just about everything we use on a regular basis has forever chemicals, including our tap water.
Yep.
So you mentioned the food wrappers, and you know how like you see so many plastic containers that'll be advertised as BPA free, but it's so like you think, oh, well, it must be fine. Well, just because it's BPA free doesn't mean that it's completely free of chemicals. The thing we never think about, though, that's loaded with BPA are receipts from stores and fast food restaurants. So those actually have the highest concentration of BPAs. And I was thinking about this and I'm like, okay, so let's say you go to McDonald's, you order your food. What do? They hand you the receipt. And so you're holding this receipt that's full of these chemicals. And then what do? You eat the food. And like, I'm not washing my hands in between the receipt and eating my freaking McDonald's cheeseburger. So it's like just crazy how these things I've never even thought about are probably like the worst things I could do in terms of like ingesting chemicals. And all of these like there's so many like little things that we've done thousands of times and never paid attention to that are the worst culprits, because it also can be found in toilet paper, diapers, paper towels, and basically every staple in our homes. So this is just like making me want to go through my entire house right now.
Yeah, and if you're a fish lover, you should start paying attention to where your fish comes from because the FDA website has a Q&A section about forever chemicals in food. And as of May 31st of this year, they posted, quote, for our 2022 targeted seafood survey, which was related to like freshwater fish. We detected PFAS in 74%, which is 60 out of 81 of the samples of clams, cod, crab, pollock, salmon, shrimp, tilapia, and tuna. Like 74%. That's a huge fucking number. And the Washington Post article I read also talked about how like nonstick cookware is often coated with these forever chemicals. So they suggest you use stainless steel or cast iron instead. And I don't know about you, Stephanie, but I love the convenience of nonstick cookware, and it's so easy to clean. And so most of my stuff is nonstick, except for a couple of cast iron pans and some saucepans that I inherited from my mom. And so now I think I'm going to have to toss all my nonstick pans.
Yeah, I did. I used them for years, but a couple of years ago I had heard a podcast episode where they were talking about how they thought that nonstick cookware, and I think in particular Teflon, like that's the
Yeah.
brand, right? Teflon would
Mhm.
be like the asbestos of our generation because it's just loaded with these chemicals that you're heating up and it's going directly on your food. So that had freaked me out. So I did switch to stainless steel and cast iron, and I'm obsessed with my cast iron. Like I think it just, I don't know, for me it just cooks it better, I guess. So I'm not going back to the nonstick crap, and I think everyone should get a good cast iron skillet.
Yeah, I have one. I just never use it because it's so much easier to clean up when I use my nonstick cookware.
Yeah.
But this article also talked about storing leftovers in glass containers instead of plastic. And I'm happy to say that I at least do this already because I used to store my food in plastic containers because I do a lot of meal prep. And it was super easy to just order meal prep containers off of Amazon. And then I didn't really care. I'd use them 10, 12 times, and then you could throw them away. But I was throwing them in the microwave all the time. And a few months ago, I switched over to glass containers. And you can go to somewhere cheap like TJ Maxx or Ross or Marshalls or Walmart or whatever, and you can find glass containers, both like Pyrex and non-brand names, and they come in different sizes. And honestly, at this point, I find that glass containers are actually a lot easier to clean than plastic ones anyway. But when I think about all of the time, like how many years I microwave plastic containers, like now that I'm thinking about it, I must have so many fucking forever chemicals in my body.
I think we all do. I think it's really unavoidable. I mean, I kind of thought maybe it was avoidable until we researched for this podcast, and now I'm just like we are all like probably loaded with these.
Yeah.
But the glass containers, you can get a huge package of like a bunch of them, all different sizes at Costco.
Oh, Costco.
That's where I got mine. But yeah, my dad was always big on this. So I've for the most part used glass. Like I just remember growing up and he said like never ever put plastic in the microwave. So I feel like I didn't do that as much. But think about it. Like if you go to the store and you buy anything, whether it's milk, yogurt, pretty much anything in the frozen or refrigerated section, it's all plastic. And usually it's very low grade plastic. So um what I found recently is that this low grade plastic that is usually what our food comes in is the worst kind. And not only does it have these forever chemicals, but it can hold on to bacteria, like it can absorb bacteria. So they're not supposed to be reused. Well, the food is sitting in this plastic for God knows how long. So who knows how many like chemicals are leaching into the food and how much bacteria could be accumulating. And what's crazy again is like if you go to Europe, almost everything comes in a glass container. And I just don't understand why we can't do that here. Um, but another interesting thing is the plastic that is better in terms of like you can reuse it, you can supposedly heat it and stuff like that, is the plastic that our cleaning products come in. So my
That you're
question
not
is,
going to reuse.
like, why the hell are we using the good plastic for cleaning products, but the shitty plastic for the food that we're ingesting? Like, none of this makes sense.
Yeah, and here's something else that you guys are probably going to think sounds really gross. But I read this in a July 11th article from a website called Momavation. And according to this article, our sewage treatment plants contain tons of forever chemicals. And it's from a combination of human waste and then from like things like lint from waterproof clothing, dental floss, Teflon products, and like tons of other items. So during the water treatment process, there's something called sewage sludge that is created. And that's basically what's left over when water is separated from human and industrial waste from the sewers. And then this sewage sludge becomes part of the process used to create supposedly safe organic matter that can deliver high quality fertilizer for farming. But what happens instead is that the activated sludge can't decompose these toxic chemicals. So forever chemicals contaminate the sludge. And just like forever chemicals can't be broken down by the human body, they also can't be broken down by nature. So basically, cows are being contaminated with these forever chemicals. And then we're eating the meat from contaminated animals.
This is so crazy. I
Yeah.
mean, really, it's like what doesn't have these chemicals at this point? I mean, it's disgusting. Something else that I didn't even think about is that our clothing, our bedding, towels are covered in these chemicals. And same with laundry detergent and fabric softener. And at first, like, I didn't really think it was that big of a deal since we aren't like eating or drinking it. But someone pointed out that our skin is the largest organ. And so it absorbs the things that we put on it. And when you think about it, we're wearing clothing 24/7, and our skin is absorbing all of these chemicals. And a super simple solution for this is to use borax, and it's really cheap. And it literally has one ingredient. It's all natural. One ingredient, which is boron, which is an element that is combined with sodium and oxygen. And it removes stains, it neutralizes odor, and it can be used for like laundry, cleaning bathrooms, pretty much cleaning the entire house. And there's even people that ingest it because apparently it like alkalizes the body, although the packaging clearly states that it shouldn't be ingested. So do your own research. But the other note about clothing and forever chemicals is that it's actually recommended that you're supposed to wash new clothes 6 times with water, like just water, no detergents, no fragrances, before you ever wear them. And I wash them once and that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, like that's messed up. And then, pretty much 100% cotton or linen is like what you should wear if you don't want forever chemicals, because pretty much everything else, like the yoga pants from Lululemon, those were at like the top of this list. And pretty much anything that is not 100% organic cotton and linen is covered with it. And then even like your floss, toothpaste, mouthwash, makeup, shampoo, conditioner, soap, sunscreens, and every single brand of contact lenses have them as well.
Great. So you're telling me that I am putting forever chemicals in my eyes every morning.
Yeah, basically.
That's good news.
Yeah. So, I've been like trying to research a lot of homemade recipes and just use simple, clean ingredients. And basically, what I have found in looking at all these different things is that baking soda, coconut oil, vinegar, including apple cider vinegar, and borax can be used to clean just about anything on your body or in your home. And they are not loaded with forever chemicals. Um, and then again, like trying to switch to buy clothing that's 100% cotton or linen. I think I want to start doing this, especially for my kids, because it's just like freaking me out now.
You're gonna have to do a lot of ironing if you switch to linen.
No, I know that's
That's why I don't wear linen.
yeah. Well, I watched a video the other day and they actually were testing like the way different materials can change your energetic vibration, which that's like a whole other podcast in and of itself. But they said the only ones that like contribute to it are cotton or linen, and everything else like depletes it. So that was kind of interesting. But another thing to keep in mind is anything that's scented has hundreds of chemicals in it to make that fragrance. So if you want something to smell good, it's best to just add like take a plain unscented thing and then you can add like essential oils to it. But anything that has a scent, in order to create that scent, they have combined like hundreds, literally hundreds of chemicals. So at this point, I'm sure you're panicking because I know I was panicking, but I did find that you can actually detox. So like your your body won't naturally break these chemicals down, but you can detox from these chemicals. So there's 3 ways that you can detox, which they actually have numerous studies that have showed that the PFA levels have come down when people detox in these 3 different ways. So the first way is super simple. Get plenty of dietary fiber. And they found that the fiber that comes from fruit is especially helpful in eliminating these chemicals from your body. So every day, obviously, like, we're supposed to eat fruit and vegetables, but just know, like, that will help remove these chemicals. And then taking lactobacillus strains or probiotics every day. So you could take like a probiotic supplement, or anything with probiotics like in it would be cultured foods. So pickles, sauerkraut, kefir, like that type of thing. And then the third, and Tara, you do this, sweat. Every day, exercise to the point that you're sweating and your toxins will come out in that sweat. So just another reason to like stay healthy and exercise. So my God, this whole thing was very eye-opening and alarming, but knowledge is power. And when we stop buying the crap that's killing us, they'll quit selling it. So again, it's like we have to vote with our dollar and choose the products with less ingredients in glass packaging. And if enough people do that, these companies are going to pay attention. And this is why they sell a different product in Europe, because the Europeans only buy that kind of thing. So we need to start doing that here, because until it hurts their bottom line, they're going to continue to manufacture this shit. So vote with your dollar, make smart choices, swap out, a little bit at a time wherever you can. And if enough of us do that, it'll eventually change things. So there we go. That was a wake-up call for Monday, but at least there's some simple solutions, and hopefully this will get you inspired to go through your pantry, go through your house, and see what things are loaded with these chemicals and get rid of them. All right, we'll see everyone back here on Wednesday for our Weird Wednesday episode. Have a great day, and thanks for tuning in. If you're sick of all the crazy shit going on in our country and you want to express your support and patriotism for the show, head on over to our Etsy store at UO Patriot Chicks and check out our new stickers. The link can also be found on our website. If you love the show and you want exclusive episodes, support the podcast and join the conversation by becoming a member of our Patreon community. We'll be posting weekly member-only podcast episodes and content that isn't available on the weekly podcast. Every Patreon member will also get a free Unapologetically Outspoken sticker and updates about our new sticker release before they're made public. And be sure to follow us on TikTok at Unapologetically Outspoken. And if you haven't done so already, please rate and review the podcast. The more you support us, the more people we can reach. So help us spread the word.